So you have a student who is a struggling reader. Maybe you've tried a variety of reading curriculums. You've put forth the other effort. You know how to teach reading. You have other kids, older kids that already can read, but this student, they need something different. Or maybe you've already heard about the logic of English and you're intrigued and want to know more. If either of these scenarios are you, I want you to stay tuned because I'm going to talk about both of these situations. I'm going to share with you about my struggling reader and how we are helping him. And I'm going to show you a little bit more about the logic of English today. So stay tuned.
Just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Hi, I'm Sarah Ruth with Kindle Togetherness. If you've never been here before, welcome. And if you are returning again, thank you so much for coming back to our channel where we share all things faith-filled homeschooling, faith-filled homemaking, and faith-filled adventures. Today, I don't have any amazing drink to share with you. It's kind of lame. I just have some peppermint leaves from my organic peppermint plant that I'm growing in my breakfast room window. And this had some hibiscus leaves in it earlier, so it's pink and it's water. That's it. I don't have any links to show you. This is just what I'm drinking right now. So without further ado, I want to explain what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to discuss struggling readers, and we're also going to take a look at the inside of the logic of English. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, I'd be so thankful if you do that now so that you don't forget and so that you can get notifications when I share other things that might be relevant to you. Also, if you would give this video a like, that tells the powers that be that I'm not just talking to myself today. If you have questions as we go, if you have comments and suggestions, I'm here for it. I will tell you that I'm just a regular mom sharing in the margins of my day. My tech equipment is not always the best, but I'm doing what I'm able to get information out there to others because people have given me feedback that it's really helpful to them. So I have an 8-year-old son. I also have a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old. My 12 and 10-year-olds, 10-year-old can read on or above grade level. My 12-year-old, I used a very Charlotte Mason approach to reading. It was very successful for us. We started his learning journey with the Peaceful Preschool. We carried on to the Playful Pioneers. And then while we were using Playful Pioneers, I kind of used a blend of the Good and the Beautiful kindergarten language arts curriculum, in addition to swiftly moving on to creating my own Charlotte Mason influenced sight reading lesson plans from early readers. The Treadwell readers, many people will be familiar with those. Once he was using those well, I was able to plug in with A Gentle Feast, and she has a wonderful pre-made Charlotte Mason reading curriculum that we used, and that got him reading. Once he was a fluent reader, reading basic chapter books, I let go of reading lessons for him. He progressed nicely. He was understanding. He had good comprehension. He could narrate. He could read aloud to me. And although I don't love testing, we have to do it every third year in Georgia. And he has tested far above grade level since third grade. So that was kind of just an easy progression of reading. I mean, he did have to work for it. He wasn't self-taught, but the method that I liked and understood worked well for him. Moving on to my 10-year-old, I used the same approach. So I attempted to do the same things. I noticed that he had some signs of mild dyslexia. And so he had to work a little bit harder. And I jumped back into a more strict phonics approach with him. Not as strict as I'm using with my 8-year-old, but I made some modifications because children are born persons, right? And so even those of us using Charlotte Mason principles, we need to understand that each of our learners is going to be different. And maybe the things that worked really well for one student aren't going to work identically for another. And that's one of the beautiful parts of homeschooling is we can adapt for our children and adjust to meet their needs. And so that's what I did. We did continue to use the same curriculums overall, but I also introduced more phonics with him, and that worked. He was able to get it, and by the beginning of third grade, he was reading chapter books. He is reading everything he needs to be independently at this point and able to narrate to me and can read aloud to me, and we're rolling. So, of course, as a mom, as a human, my expectations were a little skewed coming in with child number 3, right? I assumed we were going to be able to rock and roll through reading, and I had the same approach with him as I had with his brothers. Worked on, the phonemes first, letter recognition, just in a playful, fun way when he was 4 and 5 and 6. And as he turned 6, we began working more on, basic phonics and making sure he knew all the sounds of the 26 letters. But what I was noticing quickly was, despite using the same approach, his recall from day to day, even sometimes from minute to minute, wasn't there. And that's a big sign of dyslexia. If you have a student who is applying themselves and giving their full attention to a quality reading lesson, and show them a visual cue like this letter card, and you say, this is duh. This picture represents duh. Duh, duh, dad. Can you say duh? And you have them point to it and you have them say duh. And then maybe you have them make duh out of clay. And then maybe you have them trace a tactile card. I don't have a matching one here, but something with some sand or whatnot. And you're giving them all this input. And maybe you have them, does the word dog have duh? Dog. Dog. Does it have duh? And you're asking them that, and they're able to answer you. And then you put this card away and you read them like a 30-second little reader, like less than a minute. And then you say, hey, what sound does this make? And they look at you like they've never seen this sound in their life. And you are asking them what color chicken poop is, like literally. So anyway, if you are experiencing that with a child learning to read, that type of recall issue is a sign of some type of processing disorder. And it doesn't mean that your child has that. Some kids, they need a lot of reinforcement. And, with my 10-year-old, I did find that I had to do more strict review with him in order for him to have the memory recall. And I don't feel like he has profound dyslexia. He may have a little mild, but it's not significant enough that he wasn't able to move forward in his reading learning. With my now 8-year-old, it was so profound that like he would be able to read simple sentences at a certain point. But then like the next day he couldn't read those, or he's been reading the word k, at, and d, g, and and since he was 4 or 5, like using the phonemes, but he can't visually recognize those. They have not transitioned to sight words at this point. And we're talking about 3 and 4 years in. He still cannot recognize those words he's seen nearly daily without sounding them out phonetically. So he can eventually get there, but he literally it is so hard to watch, and it's heartbreaking as a mother because you see him working for it, but there's just it's not settling into his mind with the visual cues on the page that it does for, your typical learner. So with that said, as I realized that this was a real issue and that the way that I had taught reading to my other sons wasn't going to be the way I was going to be able to teach reading to my 8-year-old. And, when I began to realize this, he was more like 6.5, 7. Because I gave it a good go, and I don't think we need to pressure our children. There will be children who don't become solid readers until 8 or so, and that is okay. So long as each day they are slowly progressing, that is okay. what I noticed with my youngest is that he wasn't progressing every day. He wasn't picking up the new skills. He wasn't slowly accumulating some words upon recognition or blending internally. He was stuck at the phoneme level. Once I got him to know the sounds of all 26 letters, we could barely move. I mean, we couldn't move on. And I couldn't even teach him the various sounds. Like, he was really stuck on just one sound for each of the 26 letters. Um, and trying to teach him like a long vowel or a different sound, that some letters have multiple sounds, that just was not successful. So I realized we had a problem, and I, just knew that an Orton Gillingham approach was the best way to support him. And that's research based. And this is coming from somebody who truly believes in the Charlotte Mason method, taught 2 children to read using her principles as the foundation. But I'm here to tell you that what we found is now working for him at 8.5 years old. And I don't regret giving him the time and not pushing, but now we're here, and I'm really loving what we're using. So I want to show you and share with you a little bit about it. So if you haven't already figured it out from the way I introduced the video, we began using Logic of English, and it's a very strict phonics approach. It builds upon skills as they're mastered, and it is a multi-sensory approach. So that is also really, really good for students who have dyslexia. But this is what the Foundations A looks like. And if you're a student, you think they need support like this, you need to go onto their site and do the placement test. I don't suggest doing exactly what I've done unless you're confident. What I did was I took him all the way back to square one, because I just saw that he had not retained things. He should be able to simply look at the form of A or D or whatever it is and immediately know the sounds, but he didn't. He'd really have to think. Some of them he would get wrong. Some of them he couldn't recall at all. So I took us back to the beginning, and this is Foundations Level A. He has finished this. We started this back in February. And so I'm going to show you a little bit. It has a scope and sequence. It's very textbooky. Some Charlotte Mason families may struggle with this, but I'm telling you, there are students who need it, and there are times when it's appropriate, and I hope that you won't shy away from it. So this is the inside. It's all quite scripted. It provides supports. It tells you exactly what you're going to need. I purchased their biggest package that came with all of the extras. So this teaches your children writing as they're learning to read. And so I chose the cursive because my son did already know how to form all of the letters in manuscript, and I teach all my sons cursive. Also, cursive is excellent for dyslexic students. So that was another reason why we just moved straight into cursive. But if you purchase the package I did, it comes with tactile cards. And this is where I'm talking about the multi-sensory input, that as you're introducing various phonemes, we have moved on to the capital letters, but the first package, the Foundations A, we focused on lowercase, and we would introduce the sounds, and then we would go over how to write it, and we would practice all of that in the same lesson. In addition, this program includes various games, movement, the whole body is involved, and these are the things that are really important for our kiddos who need this more supportive technique for reading. So I'm going to show you a little bit. This is the first lesson. It's teaching a stroke. It's not actually teaching a letter yet. And this is just all like basic things that your student needs to begin hearing, and kind of teaching them to listen for the sounds that are in words and what the basic information is. But as you progress, you're going to get to where it's teaching spelling at the same, synonymously with teaching a new phoneme. So it shows the phonogram, it instructs you on how to introduce it, what to have the student do as you're introducing it. It's very systematic. And this is the type of support our struggling readers need, especially our dyslexic readers. So it also provides suggestions on ways to include additional multisensory support, as well as games you can play with your student, and things like that. There's a workbook that you can purchase with each parent book. So this is the parent lesson book. Ultimately, this really is all that you need to instruct your student, although you would be lacking some supplies and you'd have to make up for it somehow. Like if you didn't have the tactile cards, you'd need to be willing to like instruct your student how to write these words and maybe let them make it in pudding or sand or whatever you wanted to use. Um, but they, in the big kit that I got, they provide this, which I wanted to have. It's got the large um, writing area for like just writing one phonogram, and then it has these lines where they can practice handwriting and even do like spelling activities. In addition to that, as you move forward, they begin to have readers that match up with the lessons so that your student has phonics readers. So, this is the current series that my son is working through. He's in level B of foundations, and we've slowed way, way down for the summer. But I will tell you, he can finally read this. And some words he's no longer having to sound out, like things like she, he recognizes it. One of the things that I really like about Logic of English is all the visual cues. So in my home, I have posted them. So they provide these, and I don't put these up, I put the cursive up, but all along the wall above the window in this room that I'm in, I have put up the lowercase and the uppercase tactile cards for cursive. So when my son is practicing spelling, he has a visual cue present and he can review the alphabet if he can't recall in memory what the letter looks like. Because he knows the sound so well, due to us using the logic of English and the approach that it takes, he now can pretty much like go through and find what he needs. Also, when they're working on like 2 and 3 letter sounds, like CK and SH and IGH, things like that, they provide visual cards. And I've been lining those up so that we can review them, so he can see them. So I can point to them while reading as like a cue. So I don't always have to give him the answer, but because we've worked through these cards, he can now see them. So that's another thing that when you go into public school classrooms, one thing I do feel like they do right, and I think home educators can kind of learn from a little bit, is there are a lot, especially in elementary school classes, there are a lot of visual clues within the classroom. We put up anchor charts and, just different visual representations. And I've always done that for my sons. I think it's very supportive in their learning environment. And you don't have to make the room look like a classroom. It can still be inviting and warm and family oriented, but you want to put things round and about where they can support themselves if you're not around, or you can give them a visual, and it's also an anchor for their mind. So if something is in a room for 3 years straight, like they're going to be able to picture that in their head over time, and it becomes like an anchor for them indefinitely. So it can be very, very helpful for different students and different types of learners. So I highly encourage you to use that to your advantage. I have like numbers and little rhymes that we learned with my oldest, who is now 12, when he was 5, and they're still up. And all 3 of my kids know the rhymes, even though I didn't teach them to all of them because it's been up there so many years and we've referenced them so often. So moving on to the rest of the logic of English, I want to show you um, on my screen. I'm going to share my screen with you and show you one other component that has been amazing. So hang on just a second while I pull that up for you, and we can take a look together at the Logic of English website and something else that they offer that has been really wonderful for my son. So here you can see this is the Logic of English website. And if you're wanting to look at their products specifically for students that are learning how to read, most of those are here in foundations. And real quick, I'm going to show you, I'm not an affiliate for them. They're not paying me to share this. These are just all my opinions and all me just trying to help other families. But I'm going to show you what I purchased for my youngest son initially. So I did purchase a set in cursive, and I purchased the these are the required like things for all of the levels. So, but I went ahead and I did, oh goodness, sorry. I did Foundations A for him, and I purchased this entire package right here. So you can see it here. It's pretty hefty price, but I did go ahead and invest in this initially. Then when I was ready to purchase the second one, I actually think I bought A and B together. Instead of needing that entire bundle set, I just went ahead and got the smaller kit. So this is what I got here for B. After B, I wound up finding set C used, and that worked out well for me. If you are unsure where your student should land, and you're not sure what is the best place to begin, if you scroll way down, let's see, I think you have to go to the home page, but remember I said you need to see where your student best fits. Let's see, purchase book, Foundation A readers, game book essentials. Well, let me go back into Foundations and see if I can show you. Explore phonemic awareness, introducing spelling. These are all the different components, and here it is. So it has 2 starting points, is what it's telling you, and you can take a placement test with your student. So this is my suggestion to you, is to go to the Foundations page and scroll down so you can take the placement test and see if you even need Foundations A or if you can start with Foundations B. But what I want to show you is something that I added on. It's e-learning. It's an additional purchase. I think it's $20. And your student, this actually teaches the material to them. And I didn't realize that initially, but we can go in to Foundations A and your student can go in. This is every lesson. And it teaches them via video, via a teacher, all of the things that you would do in a lesson. Now, it doesn't go through the workbook. Like it doesn't have a workbook section. Like these are the activities that I was doing with my son, like in our lessons. However, it hits the same concepts via little games and things like that. Now, these are not like super tech savvy, high, like graphic games. These are very basic, but I feel like they do a wonderful job of teaching the material. So I'm going to scroll down and get you into a lesson that is in Foundations A and kind of show you a little bit of what these look like. So I've been able to set my...
I will say a word. Choose the vowel sound you hear in the middle of the word. The first word is ship.
Okay, so then your student would come over here and choose I, and it will tell them it's correct. I'm now able to set my son up on these lessons, and I do pay attention and review things with him and have him read the readers with me, but this is working to move him through the material. It's pretty impressive. So this will be a
very good. The vowel in the middle of ship is I. The next word is trash.
So as you can see, this works really well for something you could put your student on independently. And it is only $20 to add on. It's very reasonable, I feel like, but it literally goes through like everything for them.
In this activity, you're going to be segmenting words to determine the nuts.
Here, we're still working on the medial vowel, so they're going to put U here, and they can check it. It's self-checking. It also introduces things, and it tells you what skill it's working on. So if you did phonemic awareness activities in this lesson with your student,
very good. The vowel
from your lesson book, then you might want to only do the systematic phonics.
Let's practice blending some sounds together. Ready? D, er. What if we get them closer? D, er. And what do we get when they're right next to each other? Der. Can you say der? Very good. Der is in this word. Let's read it together. Der, drop.
Yeah. So this is how all of this works, and it's very good.
It's time to learn a new phonogram. Here it is.
And so it even introduces the various phonograms, reviews how to write them. It teaches them how to write them. It goes over the sounds. It reads the book.
Come on, everybody, hum it. Sound of it. Everybody hum it.
So like I said, the graphics are not in your face and flashy, and I actually appreciated that about this. So that is an inside peek into what is working best for us with the logic of English. My son is in summer mode, so we have home days and adventure days. If you are interested in understanding more what I mean by that, you can watch my video that talks about our summer rhythm that I just put up a couple weeks ago. But so he's not progressing as fast right now through the material, but I'm still working him through it slowly but surely. Anyway, if you have questions about this, if you have thoughts, if you've used it and it's been wonderful, if yeah, just anything. If you have anything that you'd like to ask me, I would love to respond to you. And even if you have suggestions for other similar curriculums that you want to put out there so that moms who come to this video can look at those as well, I welcome that. It is always a joy to sit down and share with you, knowing that you're going to watch this and it may help you in educating your family. It's an honor. So farewell until next time.